Alright guys, so today's video is actually based off of a build that one of our users left in the comments of one of our wizard builds. And I gave it a shot. I ran around with it this weekend a little bit. I wanted to see what it was like. I mean, Disintegrate, sure, you can stand there, you're going to cast, you're going to just kind of stand back. Ice Orb, kind of the same thing. But this is a little bit different. I'm not sure if I'd run around with this in higher torments unless you just have fantastic gear and fantastic defense. But it was quite fun. We were running around with this yesterday. We were doing a lot of damage. And it was pretty interesting. It's based on a spell that, it's one of the newer spells. It looks kind of funny. But I had a lot of fun with it. And we'll see if you guys like it too. It's not for everybody. It does involve close range fighting. But the build is actually based on Spectral Blades. With the Flame Blades room, this gives each enemy hit, increases the damage of your fire spells by 1% for 10 seconds. So the object is to group stuff up. If you don't kill them in the first shot or you're rebuilding the arcane power, depending on what torment you are, you might want to pop this first. But if you have enough damage, or maybe you just like going through and popping the other spell, which we'll get to in a second, but this is really good. The main spell is actually Wave of Force Heat Wave, and this increases the damage to 427% weapon damage as fire. And this is a little bit different build. It's not based on arcane. It's not based on ice spells or anything like that. It's based on heat. So if you've got some gear that's got the extra fire damage, go ahead and equip that. You'll get quite a big boost out of that. I don't really have a lot myself, but I'll definitely be keeping an eye out because this is a fun build. I actually like to run around with this a lot. As you guys know, I prefer to run around with a monk because they group everything up. And then it's much easier to kill stuff. Gotta love the AoE damage. But the other skills should look pretty familiar to you. And speaking of familiar, familiar with Spark Flint, summon a fiery familiar that grants you 10% increased damage. It's also going to do a little bit of attacking. Magic Weapon, this is going to increase it by 20% increased damage with the Force Weapon rune. Energy Armor with Pinpoint Barrier. I tend to hold on to this one for the extra crit hit chance. There are a lot of other options you can go with in terms of armor and runes, so that's kind of personal preference, but I enjoy the extra damage. Archon here, and again, depending on your playstyle, depending on what you want to do. I know one of the comments, he said he was running with Explosive Blast. I didn't really run with this as much. It is kind of fun. Run with it with a short fuse, 900 and 9% weapon damage. If you group them up, that's actually a really effective spell. It does a lot of damage. But like all builds, it has its pros and cons. Certain elites, certain mobs that have maybe knockbacks or stuns that when they hit you, it does interrupt a lot of casting. It does make this somewhat difficult, but if you did enough damage and you know how to move around, you'll do all right. We'll have a little bit of that after this, but still running arcane there. As far as our passive skills goes, one of these spells that, they brought in, it's new. You kind of wondered, when am I going to use this? Obviously, you can put 2 and 2 together, but this might be a good time to try it. An additional 15% damage to enemies within 15 yards. And you're obviously going to be close range while casting your Wave of Force spell. So this is where it comes into play, and we'll do it here in a minute. Glass Cannon, again, depending on what torment you're running on, what your objective is. If you're just running around farming and you want to have a little bit of fun, try a different build or something like that. This is actually, fairly effective in certain situations. Might not be all, might not be for everybody, but the increased damage here with the decreased armor and resistances, depending on what your needs are. Prodigy, this one right here, of course, you're going to get the arcane power back, so you're going to want to use that. With Spectral Blades, it hits, and it hits well, and it boosts up arcane power probably faster than most of your primary skills there. And the last one, Conflagration, fire damage dealt to enemies applies a burning effect, increasing their chance to be critically hit by 6% for 3 seconds. And your main skills are all fire skills, so any chance you get to get a little bit do a little bit more crit damage, always good. So depending on your crit hit chance, your crit hit damage. My crit hit damage isn't that high. My crit hit is at 55.5%. We could probably, I've got some points in there, but either way, I've got the Chantotos here, a little bit extra damage. That was kind of nice. I got this from somebody in a game who didn't need it. Outside of that, I'm still rocking the gear from my Ice Orb build, so we're not going to do as much damage. However, it is going to be quite a bit of fun. And we'll go ahead and let's get everything going here. And we'll go out here to the fields. There's always a bunch of bad guys running around in the field. So run around, and again, I definitely appreciate, people leaving comments, and we've got an elite right away. I don't want to mess with this guy up close. Let's smack him around a little bit. So yeah, like I said, this was from a user comment, and I'm always willing to try out different builds. I'm reading all the comments. I'm trying out all these different builds. Not everything is going to be set for everybody. Not everything is going to be perfect. Everything's going to have its problems. So I'm trying to give all the different builds a shot. See if it it fits my play style. And I'm just going to kind of mix up the spells here. Let's get these guys together. And we're building up our arcane power there. And kind of knocking stuff down. And that's how quickly you can build up your arcane power, just like that. I'm no expert at this build. I just started playing it, but I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun, using somebody's suggestion. Depending on what you're running around, I don't know if I'd run around like this all the time playing solo. But let's get in here. Let's blast some guys. That's it. We just cleared out an entire group of enemies. We got most of our arcane power back pretty quickly. And that's it. We'll go in here. We'll do a little bit more gameplay, but I definitely appreciate the user who left this build. I've been having a little bit of fun with it. I got a comment last night. I was running around with a buddy of mine, of course the monk, and he says to me, he's like, "What in the hell is that?" And I started using it the first time I saw it. I asked the exact same question: "What in the hell is that?" Like, it is one of the most bizarre-looking spells. I'm not real sure, who had this idea in mind. It's definitely quite interesting. Let's boost up a little bit here. Hate those pulses. Let's get away. And this is one of the problems. I mean, maybe I'm just not doing this right. Maybe it's something that I could be doing a little differently. But I definitely enjoy, going around, hopping around, blowing a bunch of stuff up. It's definitely a little better when you can group stuff up. And it's definitely better if these guys weren't shielding the entire time. But I can imagine that if I had a little bit better gear, especially more fire damage gear, those crits that are at 4 million, which isn't too bad, would probably be doing quite a bit more. So if I can ever kill this guy, we'll get along. And again, this is one of the issues that I had. I could have popped arcane there in the middle. Got a plan there to go with everything. But that's it, guys. I appreciate you watching. This is definitely just something fun I wanted to put up, maybe give you guys something to mess around with. If you're not reading the comments, there are quite a few tips in there, of people leaving comments, suggestions, stuff that they're running with. It's a lot of good information. I definitely like reading the comments, seeing what else you guys have, what input you have. I'm trying those things out. It's a lot of fun. Most of the builds that I've got, is how I'm going to run with it. But I'm always going to try stuff, a little different, whenever I get the chance. So, again, thank you very much for leaving stuff in the comments, all the different builds, all the helpful information, helping all the people out that are asking questions. Until next time, guys, happy hunting, and we'll see you next time.